Well, my dear friends, the time has come. Ahsoka Part 8 is out, and the first season of the show has come to an end. It's been, generally speaking, a thrilling ride, and I do have quite a lot of thoughts on the finale. In this breakdown review, I'm going to focus on the biggest talking points from the episode, because there is a high degree of detail to discuss for certain scenes, as well as depth. Let's begin. So going into this episode, we had a lot of questions, and while a few did get answered to a degree, there is still a lot left up in the air. That is expected for a first season that is serving as the beginning of a greater story that Dave is trying to tell, especially in regards to Baylan, who we didn't see much of, and I'm already seeing speculation that some of his scenes may have been cut. But it worked in the context of the episode after last week, where he officially wandered off into the wilderness to whatever is calling to him. And we're gonna come onto this in just a second. So let's begin here as a starting point and work our way backwards, so to speak, with the final shots of Baylan and Shin in Part 8, The Jedi, The Witch, and The Warlord, a play on C.S. Lewis's Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe. Ahsoka and Sabine are left stranded on Peridea, and essentially, it's a reset moment for the show, but in reverse. Ezra was stuck and needed rescuing going into this series, and now it ends with the two who set out on the quest in the first place, lost and stranded, and this time it's Ezra who makes it home. It was adorable that despite his night trooper disguise, which is how he was able to escape, Chopper was able to recognize his old friend immediately. Hera was elated and full of disbelief that Ezra came home. On Peridea, Ahsoka and Sabine set up camp with the Noti, just like Ezra did all those years ago. And Ahsoka sees a convol bird, presumably Morai. Although she appears a few times throughout Star Wars Rebels, this was actually her second, and not first, live-action appearance. She also cameos in The Mandalorian Season 2. She follows Ahsoka around at important points in her journey. Morai is spiritually connected to the daughter, one of the Force gods from Mortis, and as soon as she flies off, we see Baylan atop a huge Mount Rushmore-type mountain with the Mortis gods' heads carved into it. He stands on the hand of the Father, and this gives us an enormous clue as to his intentions. Baylan was seeking a new beginning, to break the cycle of Jedi, Empire, rise, fall, and possibly, and I'll explore this in just a second, life and death. If you remember from the Clone Wars series, the Mortis gods are one of the more mysterious elements of the Force, and just to know there is a connection to them in the Ahsoka series has big implications for what's going to come next. It would reason from this scene that Baylan is trying to become the father, the balance in the Force. The daughter is the light side, who is embodied in Ahsoka after she took on her Force spirit. The son is the dark, and the father is the balance. Notice on the Peridean mountain, the daughter's head was eroded, and this has a double meaning, because it symbolizes the fact she lives in Ahsoka, she's right there, she's alive and present on Peridea. That is going to be very symbolically significant later on. In the Clone Wars, the father sacrificed his own life to strip the son of his Force powers by stabbing himself with the dagger of Mortis. Shaken by remorse, the son comes to his senses and makes peace with the father before being impaled by Anakin's lightsaber. With his dying breath, the father proclaims that Anakin was indeed the chosen one for restoring balance to Mortis. The father also prophesied that Anakin would bring balance to the Force in general in the wider galaxy, but warns the Jedi to be aware of his inner self, foreshadowing his turn to Vader, lest he bring doom to the galaxy. The father's body then vanished, leading to the disappearance of Mortis. That is why Peridea is so important. It is very possible Baylan wants to take on the role of the father, or is he the new son, who's always been a question mark? Do we now have a trilogy of renewed Mortis gods? Ahsoka the daughter, Anakin the father, and Baylan the son. So here is another proposition. Baylan wants to become a Force deity, one of the Mortis beings, but through the help of something more dangerous, Abeloth, considering the power she can grant him. Let me explain. Largely considered Legends material, she still needs to come into canon, and I do think she will. She began as a servant to the Ones, the father, the daughter, and the son, on their home planet, and after becoming close to all of them, she became the mother of Mortis. However, unlike the Ones, Abeloth was not immortal, so to fix this, in her pursuit of endless power, she drank from the font of power, and bathed in the pool of knowledge, both which were forbidden. The former was particularly strong with the dark side of the Force. Anyone who drank from the font was said to be granted unlimited power, both over the past and the future, which fits in with Baylan's plans and what he's already told us. The mother gained unspeakable powers and was transformed into the frightening Abeloth, a dark side god. According to the Jedi fairy tales Baylan referenced in earlier episodes, it's possible the font of power is on Peridea, because according to both canon and Legends material, the font's location was never given a name, simply titled Abeloth's planet. And this is what Baylan has found. I think Peridea is the planet. Either he wants to drink from this fountain himself, or he found the location of Abeloth's soul, the dwelling place of the mother. In either case, it is so tragic this was Ray Stevenson's last performance. He's been the best part of this show, and we crave more Baylan's skull. I don't know if they're going to recast what's going to be the deal going forward with this story, but provided Disney's aversion to recasting for Star Wars projects generally speaking, there is a good chance this is going to be left open-ended for a while until they find that perfect recast, or they're just going to leave his story be, maybe save for a novel or a comic. But rest in peace, Rey, you absolute legend. What's even more potent, as I mentioned, is Anakin's Force ghost, watching over Ahsoka and Sabine, and given his ties to the Mortis ones in the Clone Wars series, as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he connects to Baylan's story somehow as well. So what about Shin? With so few options, she approaches the camps of the bandits, who are still something of a mystery. She raises her orange blade and takes charge of them as their warrior leader. Is she going to sense Ahsoka and Sabine are still there? Are there going to be more fights? There are so many questions with Shin. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some kind of spin-off that focuses on her, maybe an episode of Tales of the Jedi Season 2. They can go a variety of routes, and that's what's awesome. So what of Ahsoka and Sabine? What's next? I was taken aback when Ahsoka says they are where they need to be, because this gave a feeling of acceptance of their situation. Is Ezra, with the help of the New Republic, going to go back and help them? Are there lessons Ahsoka has to learn on Peridea and pass down to Sabine? And speaking of her, she is Force sensitive confirmed. We finally see her pick up a lightsaber with the Force and even use Force push. And as a Star Wars Rebels fan, I'm not gonna lie, there were hints of Force sensitivity in that show, but I'm not sure how I feel about the execution of this. Using the Force with such proficiency after just one season, where very little actual training took place. There was some, but it was sporadic. That being said, Sabine might hint that something else helped her, maybe Morai, and besides, having Ahsoka believe in her was such a big motivating factor to remove some of those hurdles. The theme of Master and Apprentice came full circle, and both Ahsoka and Sabine learned valuable lessons about patience, the clunky and complicated nature of being a Master or Apprentice, but how meaningful that relationship is, as Huyang stated. As for Ezra Bridger, as the leak said, he got another lightsaber, this time reminiscent of his master Kanan Jarrus. Huyang had one of two of Kanan's emitters, and it made sense, he gave it to Ezra. But one question remains, how on earth did Ezra get that Kyber crystal? The action scenes were thrilling, I love seeing all three Jedi work together, and Ahsoka Season 1 has teased a massive story to come in Dave's film, Mando Season 4, probably a second season of Ahsoka as well. Grand Admiral Thrawn returns to the known galaxy, we see Dathomir in live action, which is what he promised the Night Mothers, to repopulate their world with the army of the undead, undead Night Sisters and Night Brothers. That is what is in the catacombs. Very similar to Jedi Fallen Order, we see a couple of these undead Night Sisters in the Purge/Death Trooper armor, fighting Sabine, and it was great to see Morgan Elsbeth use the Sword of Talzin. I will talk about this separately in a different video, but what an awesome reference that felt right out of the Clone Wars, but also the Dark Horse Maul comics. It was a shame, but very predictable, that Morgan Elsbeth was gonna die. As I say guys, big video on her coming very soon. I think generally speaking this season was great, I had a lot of fun in this finale, but what did you guys think? Share your thoughts in the comments down below. What are your thoughts and theories? What do you think Baylan's out there doing? And was this the way you wanted Season 1 to end? Share your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you, always.